Hello student friends, now we are going to study our courses through these video lectures. We'll start with botany paper first, that is BO 331. Name of the paper is Cryptogamic Botany, that includes algae, fungi, bryophytes and pteridophytes. Now you know that botany is study of plants, and all these plants, they are classified in a large group, that is kingdom, which is plantae. Now these plants, they are classified variously, and systems of classification may broadly divided into older systems, which are somewhat natural one, and the modern systems of classification. And in all these systems, all these plants are classified into different groups. Of the oldest system of classification, which is still used, is that of Eichler, who proposed his system of classification in 1866, and in his classification of plant kingdom, he divided all these plants into two sub kingdoms or two groups. One, that is Cryptogams, and second group is Phanerogams. Now we are dealing with this first group in this top paper, that is Cryptogamic Botany. This classification is basically based upon the presence or absence of flowers. Here in Cryptogams, flowers are absent, and in Phanerogams, these plants produces flowers and seeds. So here the Cryptogams is a group of plant in which flowers and seeds are totally absent. Flowers and seeds are totally absent. Then these Cryptogams are again divided into different groups. As mentioned in our syllabus, Cryptogams are further divided into two categories. One, that is lower Cryptogams, and second one is higher Cryptogams. Now before going to start with the difference between the lower and higher Cryptogams, again we will go to the word Cryptogams. Here it is a word derived from two words. One, that is cryptos, which means hidden, Kryptos means hidden, and gamete means the gametes that are produced in the sex organs. So here, sex organs producing gametes, they are embedded in the plant body itself, and therefore these are called as cryptogams. You cannot observe a flower-like structure on this plant, and all these plants, they produces spores or different types of gametes so as to reproduce by asexual and even sexual method. Now, so cryptogams are non-flowering and seedless plants in which the sex organs, they are hidden in the plant body, and they are further divided into two groups, one that is the lower cryptogams and second is the higher cryptogams. Now this lower cryptogams is a group characterized by the feature that the plant body is thalloid. Plant body is a thalloid. That means the plant body remains undifferentiated into root, stem and leaf, or you can say that there is no distinct root, stem and leaf. Whereas in a higher cryptogams, plant body may be thalloid or may be differentiated into root, stem and leaf-like structure, or true root, stem and leaf. The second important characteristic feature of this lower cryptogams is sex organ. Here, the sex organs produced for the act of sexual reproduction are always unicellular. And that single cell produces gametes. If multicellular, there is a no sterile cell or sterile jacket or sterile coat to that multicellular sex organ. So these are the two characteristic features of lower cryptogams. Whereas in case of higher cryptogams, the plant body may be thalloid, but thallus is a slightly differentiated into dorsal and ventral surfaces in case of some bryophytes, or root-like, stem-like and leaf-like structures in case of higher bryophytes, and true root, stem and leaf in case of pteridophytes. Then the sex organs here are mostly multicellular. Sex organs are mostly multicellular, and another characteristic feature of the multicellular sex organ of higher cryptogams is the presence of sterile jacket or coat to this multicellular sex organ. So here sex organs in case of lower cryptogams are always unicellular and totally lacks sterile covering, whereas in case of higher cryptogams, the multicellular sex organ is a characteristic feature, and each such multicellular sex organ has a sterile jacket or coat. Now here, as mentioned in our syllabus, lower cryptogams includes a group commonly called as thallophyta or Lower cryptogams includes a single division thallophyta, and the characteristic feature of this thallophyta is plant body is a thallus or thalloid. That means there is a complete absence of root, stem and leaf. Now this thalloid plant body is a unique character of thallophyta. The members of thallophyta are again divided into two groups. One that is algae and second that is fungi. Here algae is a group of simple thalloid green or autotrophic plants. So this is a simple thalloid green or autotrophic plants. Green due to presence of chlorophyll, and as the chlorophyll is present, they can manufacture their food material by the process of photosynthesis, and therefore they are called as a autotrophic. Auto means self, producing food material. Whereas in case of fungi, all fungi are non-green. That means they lack chlorophyll, and as they lack chlorophyll, they are unable to produce their food material by the process of photosynthesis, but they derive their food material by heterotrophic mode of nutrition. So here algae are green, fungi are non-green. As algae are green, they are autotrophic in mode of nutrition. As fungi are non-green, they are heterotrophic mode or heterotrophic in a mode of nutrition. Now here these algae shows photosynthetic activity, and therefore the reserve food material is starch. Here fungi, they are obtaining their food material by heterotrophic mode of nutrition. The reserve food material is either glycogen or oil droplet or fat. Now this heterotrophic mode of nutrition that is observed in fungi, which we are going to study in detail at the time of the third topic, but in a short, this heterotrophic mode of nutrition can be again of two types. One that is a saprophytic and second is parasitic. Now those fungi that can derive their food material from dead decaying organic matter, dead decaying organic matter are commonly called as saprophytic fungi. For example, Mucor rhizopus that usually grows on the breads, butter and so on. Whereas a large number of fungi requires a living plant or animal as a host. Living animal or plant as a host, and they can derive their food material only from the living host, that may be plant or that may be animal including human being. So these are called as parasitic. And some parasitic can change their mode of nutrition to saprophyte if there is a non-availability of a proper host. They are called as facultative parasite, and the other that are unable to survive without living host, they are called as a obligate parasite. So this is about a lower cryptogams that includes a division Thallophyta, which is further divided into algae and fungi, and in some classification we can have an additional group you might have studied in earlier classes, that is lichens, which is nothing but it is a group of plants having one of the algal partner in a close association with a fungus, that is called as lichens, and their thallus is totally different than both the algae and fungi, which are living in a close association. Now the second group, that is higher cryptogams. That means here they are slightly evolved or showing advanced characters than that of the lower cryptogams, as the plant body is either thalloid or may be differentiated into root, stem and leaf. Here higher cryptogams are further divided into bryophytes and pteridophytes, or you can say higher cryptogam includes bryophytes and pteridophytes. Now here bryophytes is a group of thalloid plants where thallus is dorsiventral, mostly flat and with a distinct dorsal and ventral surface. In a case of the liverworts and hornworts, whereas in case of Maasai, thallus is differentiated into root-like, stem-like and leaf-like structure. For example, Polytrichum or moss you might have studied. Here you can have rhizoids. These rhizoids are multicellular one, and therefore apparently they looks like root or functions as a root. Then it has a main axis, that is nothing but it is a stem-like part, and on this you can have small leaf-like appendages. So these are leaf-like structure. This is stem-like structure, and this is root-like structure. So here, in case of advanced bryophytes, plant body, gametophytic thallus is a differentiated into root-like, stem-like and leaf-like structure. Here in case of pteridophytes, the plant body is clearly differentiated into root, stem and leaf. Root, stem and leaf. So this is the first basic difference between the bryophytes and pteridophytes. In case of bryophytes, the life cycle is dominated by gametophytic phase, whereas in a case of pteridophyte, the dominant phase in the life cycle is a sporophyte. So here gametophyte is a long-lived and dominant stage which is independent, whereas in case of pteridophytes, the long-lived stage in life cycle is a sporophyte. That means sporophyte of pteridophyte shows a clear-cut differentiation into root, stem and leaf. Here the dominant phase in life cycle is a gametophyte, which is a either dorsiventral or may be differentiated into root-like, stem-like and leaf-like. Here the sporophyte is totally dependent on gametophyte. Sporophyte is totally dependent on gametophyte for its food or nourishment. So sporophyte is a comparatively short phase in the life cycle and it totally depends on the gametophyte for its nutrition or food material. Whereas in case of pteridophyte, the sporophyte is a dominant phase in the life cycle and it is independent, and the another phase, that is gametophyte, may depend on the sporophyte, or in case of some pteridophytes it is a independent, that depends upon the life cycle. Then another difference between the bryophytes and pteridophytes is that here there is a complete absence of vascular tissue. You know that vascular tissue is nothing but it is a conducting tissue consisting of xylem and phloem. So these are absent in case of bryophytes, but in case of pteridophytes, here vascular tissues are present. The xylem and phloem, which are commonly called as vascular or conducting tissue, are present in pteridophytes, and therefore these pteridophytes are also called as vascular cryptogams. Means as far as vascular system is concerned, they are identical with the phanerogams, but other features are identical with the cryptogams, and therefore they are commonly called as a vascular cryptogams. So these are some distinct differences between the bryophytes and pteridophytes.